Okay, so I am super pumped because today we're hanging out with Aniyia Williams, and Aniyia is a good friend of mine. She's the CEO of Tinsel, which is a wearable technology company. Are you wearing the first product right now, Aniyia?
I am. I'm wearing it right now.
Can you tell us what this is and what your first product is for your startup?
Yeah, it's a jewelry piece, a necklace that transforms into your headphones.
So cool.
Actually, wait, let me see if I have a box over here.
Yeah, do you have a box? Do you want to go get one? The box is really cool. It's worth waiting for.
Let's see if we can get it popping. Ready? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's in the necklace mode. I've got a post-it on it. In necklace mode, it looks like this.
So cool.
And then you transform it into your headphones, and like I'm wearing it in headphones mode right now. So
yeah. So to me, what's so awesome about what you're building is like a lot of the times when we talk about people building tech startups, we're thinking about software, but you were building a physical thing. Like it's a real thing that you were shipping to people. And you kicked this off by doing a Indiegogo campaign, right? Which is Can you, for people who aren't familiar, a lot of people just know Kickstarter. So can you just sort of give the framework of what Indiegogo is in the first place and what you did with it?
Yeah, totally. So Indiegogo was like our big kind of unveiling to the world. There was probably about a year's worth of work that went into the company before we even got it to like Indiegogo stage. Indiegogo is another crowdfunding platform. It's a little bit different from Kickstarter in a couple of big ways. Like, and this was part of what was important for us. One of them is that Kickstarter is like the all or nothing type of situation. So like, if you don't get the goal that you set, then you like don't get any money at all. And we wanted the flexibility to be able to, you know, get, even if we didn't make it completely to the $50,000 goal we set, we wanted to be able to still have that help us like further what our next step was. And so then
your goal was to raise 50K.
Yes, that was our public goal. Like the actual behind the scenes goal. Like I think everybody goes on Kickstarter like really hoping that they're gonna be like the coolest cooler and raise like a bajillion thousand million dollars. But there's just a very different reality behind that, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about. And then the other thing was, you know, it was really good because they have a whole team of people that are really helpful and like giving you advice on your campaigns and how you should structure it. And so there was just a lot of supportive resources that Indiegogo had that made more sense for us. Yeah, like it was just a really great opportunity for us to go out, see if this was a product that actually resonated with people and to get feedback because we actually changed the design quite a bit. I don't know if you can like show like what our page looks like because it's kind of like memory frozen in time. It's kind of like when you go and you look at your high school yearbook and you're like, oh man, I should not have worn that shirt. But I'm like, it looks cool, but it's like, man, it's so much cooler now than it was like a year ago. And that was really thanks to the feedback of our customers. So.
Are you talking about the website page or are you talking about the first version of your product?
No, like the first version of our product that's like on Indiegogo, like all the images and everything that we got done. Like it was cool looking, but I just feel like, you know, all the feedback we got from people helped us like level it up even more. Actually, hold on, I've got the prototype right here.
Oh, you have it. Yeah, we can show people a picture.
That's the joys of being in my office right now for this.
Yeah, we're right, and in like, the factory, right?
This is like my junky workshop right now. You should like see. There's everything in here from like Xbox remote controls to FedEx shipping boxes.
No, I love it. It's
and prototypes.
And prototypes.
Yes, and baby toys.
Right, important things to juggle.
So this is what the first one looks like.
Oh.
Like twice as thick as it is now. Like the one that we have now is like.
I have a picture. Someone sent me a picture of like it almost had like tassels at the bottom. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. So
was that pre-first version?
That was pre-first version. So the picture that you have, but like the very, very first, it was my dirty prototype.
Yeah.
Which was like, before I even had recruited the team that I needed to build the product and all of that stuff, it was like, okay, my friend, actually her name's Sarah Chips, she has a hardware company called JewelBots. And she was just kind of like, man, you can like just go and like buy components, like go buy headphones and go buy like jewelry stuff and just like cobble, like this is kind of what you're trying to go for. And I was like, yeah, because my whole thing at the time was like, I had the idea in my head and I was like, I need to be able to like, and like I'm a terrible visual artist, like drawing is not my skill set.
Right.
And so like I had sketches, but they were like, you know, my chicken scratch sketches. And but I was just like, okay, I need to like physically show someone. So I like went, I bought a whole bunch of headphones, started like cutting them up and taking them apart. And then I like bought a bunch of jewelry stuff. I bought beads and clay and I like cobbled this like little Frankenstein prototype together. It didn't
So
have
you're just like in the craft store pulling things off the shelf.
yeah, like I went to Michael's and I went to Radio Shack and fucking wherever else I like bought like $5 headphones, and just so I could be like, okay, this is the concept. And then when I got teamed up with our industrial designer, like she helped me kind of take that and then like the visual, we did a bunch of mood boards, and so like she really helped compile that into what we have today. Like
Yeah. So you had this quick and dirty prototype that you built.
yeah.
How soon after, which is interesting because a lot of people think they need to do their Indiegogo or their crowdfunding campaign before they put anything together. So you put something together first,
Yeah.
and then did your campaign.
Yeah, so we got to a functioning like prototype, looks like, works like prototype before we actually launched our campaigns. Through kind of like tech industry fashion, the bar is constantly moving away from you. And so like I feel like if you were maybe Kickstarter or Indiegogo like 4 or 5 years ago, you probably could have just put your chicken scratch sketches up there and a dream, and people would be like, oh yeah, let's give all the money to that. But now people want, like, they want it to be as like final as possible, because I think people are a little like jaded from campaigns that haven't make it. Like there is a lot of hardware campaigns that don't get to ship their product.
Yeah.
And so like people want to have some like confidence that it's actually going to happen.
So you had something that was pretty polished at this point.
Yeah, it was pretty polished, but we were open to being able to amend it so that we could accommodate for like what people said that they felt like it needed after the campaign.
Way after the campaign.
After,
Okay.
yeah, that was directly after the campaign. It was like, okay, I know we got this prototype, but we got to go back and we got to redraw some of this stuff because like this is what people are saying that they want to see.
So what were you thinking about as you were building your page on Indiegogo? I know that there are some specific things you're supposed to look out for and build and structure for on your campaign. Like what were some best practices or things you were thinking about?
Honestly, most of the best practices that we had they came directly from Indiegogo. Like they were super helpful in telling us like, these are the kinds of things you want to see. Like here's like the anatomy, if you will, of like a successful campaign.
Yeah.
And like the biggest thing of all, which I don't think anybody will dispute this, is the video. So if we talk about like what the most resources go into typically for a campaign that does well, is in having a really good quality video, or if you're going to go like a little bit more scrappy because you don't have a huge budget to make the video, then you just have to find a way to make it like super meaningful and really catchy. Like you can do things that are clever if you have a little budget, but like we basically put most of our budget behind the entire campaign in the video and photo assets itself. We felt like that was really important for the kind of product that we were making. We wanted to showcase it, have people get a sense for like how it would work and look in real life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're trying to like give someone an experience through the computer screen. Crowdfunding is a really interesting beast. Like I kind of hinted at this earlier, which is that like, you know, a few years ago, it was definitely a situation where you didn't have to have a lot of complete stuff or complete ideas or complete prototypes. But now there's so many people, like crowdfunding has now become the minimum, it's the barrier to entry. It's like the bar to getting into building a hardware company.
Yeah.
And so like you have to kind of do the crowdfunding thing if you want to try to get investors or you want to try to take your business to the next stage. That said, so many people are crowdfunding now that it's like there's a lot of noise. So like getting out there and standing out is something that is increasingly hard to do, especially if you're trying to do it on a shoestring budget. So like for us to even get to the prototyping and all of that stuff, like hardware costs money. So like to kind of go and tell you a little story about the founding of Tinsel. You know, I used to work at Boxer, which is this, it's a startup that makes like a walkie-talkie app for smartphones. And I had been there for 3.5 years. I was like, it was a great like opportunity for me. Had a lot of love for the people I worked with. And like at one point, but I sat down with the CEO, with Tom, and I was like, hey, so I do have this other idea. And I actually was just wondering if you know any industrial designers, because as I told you, I was trying to get this idea out of my head and something I could visualize. And he connected me with a friend of his who is an industrial designer, and like gave me kind of like, here's the lowdown of like making a physical product. And he was just like, but the first thing you need to know is like, if you're going to make a physical product, you need money. He's like, you
Yeah.
can't make physical things without money. Like, it's not like software where you could just like go into a cave on your computer and you're just like, you know, you come out and then you have a product. It's like,
Right.
no, something like actually has to touch something else and like be put together. And so you know, he was like, you need to go back and ask Tom for some money. And so I did, and like over the series of, you know, multiple conversations, he committed to giving us the money to get it off the ground. And so
Interesting. So
everything
you
that we
raised
did,
a little bit of money to get you to the crowdfunding campaign.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. You know, it ended up all in, it ended up being about 200K. And like that was, I think that it can definitely be done for less. For us, it was important that we made a decision to work with like professionals that had made these kinds of products before, these kinds being like audio and electronic products, and had manufacturers, and we made all of our prototypes with a manufacturer that actually is producing the product today. They made our prototype.
One of the things I'm trying to figure out, because it's so interesting to me that you raised money before you got to the crowdfunding campaign. And if you look at the numbers, you raised more money before the crowdfunding campaign to get to the crowdfunding campaign. So you raised 200K, and then your crowdfunding campaign was super successful and brought in 55K. But if you look at those numbers, I think this is some of the secret about crowdfunding that people don't talk about or hear all the time, which is that it takes a lot of money to get to the crowdfunding campaign or to do a successful crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, and to actually like make this campaign successful, because what I ended up also finding out was like, you know, many of the companies that you see nowadays in this day of crowdfunding that are doing these like gigantic campaigns, like they're spending, like let's say they do $1 million campaign, there many of them quite often are spending like 10% of that on marketing. So like my whole thing is like, if I had $100,000 to spend on marketing my campaign, I wouldn't fucking be crowdfunding. I would just be building the shit.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, so that's a really interesting thing that I don't think a lot of people know, is that like there's this glamorous like idea of like this rocket ship crowdfunding campaign, but it's very rare, I'd say nowadays, that like that happens completely organically. We ended up spending maybe about I'd say a little more than 10% of ours on our campaign. Because like even the video itself, that was our bit, like I said, that was what we invested the most into, like the video and the photography. And those two things combined were about 5K. And then we like spent money on, you know, trying to work with some PR people. We worked with, you know, and we tried to do some digital advertising as well. So like that was a thing, but like I had no idea until we were in the thick of it, like the kind of like leagues that we were playing in and the kind of like barriers we had to kind of fight just to get eyeballs.
What were those barriers?
Because like there's so many things out there that people are trying to market to people at all times, and then like finding where your person is so that they know that your campaign even exists is a really tough nut to crack. I mean, I'd say that's a tough nut to crack for business in general, but it's harder when you have a finite like 30-day time frame to make
right.
And not like time to experiment and like, oh, I tried this and it didn't work. It's like, no, my shit has like 10 hours to go buy it. So it's, you know, it's not like I got time for 7 touches.
Oh my gosh.
So there's that. And the other thing is that, you know, for the kind of product we're making, the question is out there, like, is our demographic on Indiegogo or Kickstarter for that matter? The crowd tends to not be the pre-order type. They tend to be the like, I'm going to buy this because I want it right now type. So like we really had to settle the story behind what we were doing and get people who were interested in just supporting the mission that we were on. Those were who ended up crowdfunding us. And now we're kind of starting to branch into the territory where like someone just heard about it and they're like, fuck yeah, I'll buy one of those. And then they buy one. But that's because I can hand it to them right now. But
Right.
before it was like, oh, it's going to be about a year. You know, people ain't trying to hear that.
So this is the big question then, because what I'm hearing from you is that crowdfunding is way harder than people think it is. Yes. You've got to have some resources up front to even get you there, whether it's software, hardware. You at least need to be thinking about that 10% marketing budget. Mm-hmm. And so would you do it again?
Ooh, if I really had to.
Okay.
But like, look, all of that said, like, I would say, like, I've said this before, like, crowdfunding is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, right? And like
more than raising money from VCs or from angels.
That's the second hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because at least with the VCs you can kind of like, you get more time, right? And it's not public, right? But like crowdfunding is like, if it doesn't go the way that you want it to, if your campaign doesn't hit its goal, it's public shame. You know, everyone can go to that page and be like, only 30% of your goal. Like that's crazy. And like for us, we hit in the first 2 weeks, we got to 80% of our goal. It was the last 20% that was killing me. It took us the other rest of the time to raise the last like 20% of that thing.
And because you were on Indiegogo and not Kickstarter, because I hear about in Kickstarter, people will like put money into it. They'll pay themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
in order to hit their goal.
Indiegogo too. I was ready to do it if I had to, but I was like not wanting to do it. Yeah. And luckily we didn't end up having to do it at the end, but people definitely do that. And that's the public part of it too. So yeah, no, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, Tara. Like, you know me. I had my own baby, okay? Like, I delivered my own child. Some people might say that was this was way harder than that. Like,
oh my God. Your crowdfunding campaign was harder than birthing your own baby. That's crazy. But I think people should hear that. I don't think that people hear
experience than crowdfunding too.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster because it's like there's also like there's kind of this like U shape that crowdfunding campaigns typically follow. So one of the sort of pro tips I would say behind, you know, doing your crowdfunding campaign, this is actually, I think, one of the most like literally money things you can do is like go and talk to, I mean, like you're going to dig out every contact you can find, every like export your LinkedIn email list, go through your Gmail address book, like go through your phone address book and like contact everyone you know. Like you got to be shameless and try and tell them about what you're doing. You've been spending this much of your time and effort trying to build this company. You would really love them to support you, but it's not just a matter of like letting them know you're doing it. It's like reaching out to them weeks before with a personal message that closes the deal. So I went in and I reached out to my friends and I was like, you know, friends and ex-coworkers, whatever. And I was like, we're doing this crowdfunding campaign. Many of them already knew that I was working on Tinsel. And I was just like, will you commit to contributing, and how much can I count on you for? And so I made a spreadsheet of everyone who responded.
At the end, how much can I count on you for?
Yes. And I put it into a spreadsheet and tallied it up because I wanted to make sure I had locked down at least 30% of that goal before we launched the campaign, or 20%.
Wow. So before the campaign, you're already campaigning and you're doing all of your email copy and like doing all this work. You're lining up your supporters, you're building videos before anything starts.
Yeah. That's why like crowdfunding is a lot of work. So then you end up with the U shape, right? So all the people that know it's happening, because I was like, okay, great, got you down. I'm going to send you a link when it's live. And then like, please be ready to donate it within the first 24 to 48 hours. And so I did that. And so the first like week of the campaign, like I said, we ended up hitting, I think we got 60% in the first week, and then another 20% in like the second week. And then the last like 20% took a long time, because then after that first week, it just like nosedived,
right?
And then like this is the valley of sadness, right? Where you're just like, you're just like every day it's like, oh my God, only one contribution came in today.
Yeah.
Like no more are gonna come in after this. And then like the next day you'll get like 5 of them and you're like, oh yeah, we're back on top. And then the next day it'll be like 2, and then
Oh
it'll
my gosh.
10, and then it'll be like 0, and then it'll be like 3, and then you're just like literally every day you're just sitting there at your computer screen biting your nails and then trying to go on like, I don't know, Facebook ads and like try to think of things that are going to drive traffic to your page and all this stuff. So it's hella scary. And then like at the end it kind of goes back up usually with people know this is the last chance, get in there. You know, you try to sweeten the pot with some extra deals and then and close it out. Because the thing is, like, the reason why you want to do a platform like Indiegogo or Kickstarter is because it's like they're going to help amplify your reach, right? To their existing customers. It's going to go out in their emails and all that other stuff. And like, to be completely honest, like the Indiegogo team is really awesome. Like, I have so much love for their whole team. In fact, I still keep in touch with people at Indiegogo even today.
So they were emailing you. Did you know them before this?
No.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like for me doing my campaign that I got introduced to Indiegogo. You know, you get paired up with like a campaign specialist and they help you through it. We're gonna be showcased in their booth at CES. So like Indiegogo
Cool.
is definitely like I have so much love for them. It's a great company, and their whole vision even started kind of with this sort of a bit of anti-establishmentism, which I have a growing streak of nowadays. So like, you know, we share that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Aniyia. This was really good because I feel like you said lots of stuff that nobody hears and gave a really, really good perspective. And your story, like we look at your campaign and I don't know, I'm like $55,000 is a whole lot of money. And there's so much backstory to this and context and best practices if people are going to do it. So thank you so much for coming out. Where can people find you online if they want to like know more about your story or see more about what you do?
Yeah, I'm usually on Twitter. I'm like any social network I'm on. I'm Opera Queenie with the IE at the end, but Twitter I'm on the most. My DMs are open. You can always feel free to ask me anything. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Aniyia.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.